Now, Game Week 1 has gone all right for me so far. I've scored 54 points and I'm in 3.9 million overall. And in this video, I'm going to go through my transfer plans for Game Week 2. Now, to some people, they might have a rank in the millions and feel a little bit down about it after one game week. But honestly, it's one game week. There are so many variables that can happen in the space of one game week that for me personally, a 3.9 million rank doesn't really bother me, particularly considering some of the players that I have covered, some of the fixtures that they have left to go. You know, I'm confident, for example, someone like Reinders, I've made a really good decision on him and I'm basically saved myself a transfer by picking him. Well, I say I've made a good decision. There's a bit of luck involved because in the deadline stream with Reinders, I had both Anderson and Reinders in my team. And there was a very, well, for most of the time I had, to be honest, Elliot Anderson in my team. And I was bigging him up the whole time during pre-season. And on deadline day, I changed it to Reinders because Forest were linked to Douglas Luiz. I was just a little bit doubtful about Elliot Anderson. And to be honest, Elliot Anderson did not do too badly himself in Game Week 1. But, for example, I've got Reinders in my team. My captain returned. A couple of clean sheets across my defence. You know, the rest of my midfield and front line pretty average. But I don't think many people, apart from maybe ones that played a chip, I don't think many people can say they came away from this game week with a really monster score. And even if you did, you know, next game week your team is probably not ideal. Whereas I think this team, I'm set for a good few weeks. I don't. Yeah, we'll talk about potential transfers I can make because there are definitely some players that I'm not particularly happy with. But I think I could go through the next 2 or 3 game weeks without necessarily making a transfer. So we'll just go through each player very quickly. Sanchez, clean sheet, bonus points for saves. I think that's a save bonus points. We got a bonus point anyway. We'll take that. I'm happy with Sanchez. Neco Williams, 1 pointer. We'll take that. Porro, 6 points for a clean sheet. I was expecting a little bit more from an attacking point of view in that game. You know, promise was there from the Super Cup with the set pieces that he was taking, particularly obviously without Madison in the team. He obviously played a really attacking role, but just didn't get a return. And then Anderson with a 2-pointer. I was expecting a little bit more from him from a defensive contributions point of view. Save for Neco Williams, really. Forest didn't really get any defensive contributions at all. So, yeah, those DEFCON monsters that I picked didn't really do the DEFCON. And to be honest, you know, he's got more games to go, Anderson, in my team. You can't just give him one game and then chuck him out. And the same for Williams, right? Williams, I thought Forest didn't play too badly defensively in that game. The goal they conceded was a penalty. So from, like, open play, they didn't concede a goal. Just one of those things. Palmer and Rogers, you know, both blanking, both kept clean sheets, got me 3 points. I'll let Villa off because they went down to 10 men, and Newcastle is tough. Crystal Palace are no mugs either, to be fair, who obviously Chelsea played. Palmer, I watched most of the game. Palmer just didn't feature in the game at all. He basically went missing for 90 minutes in that game. So, yeah, I'm a little bit worried about him. I would say spending that amount of money on a player that went missing for an entire game is a little bit of a concern. And I don't think I'm going to transfer him out, but there is I definitely have an idea of something I could do with him if I wanted to. Rogers, yeah, like I said, I'll let him off for that one game. He's 7 million as well, so he's not going to return every week. Salah's my captain. I mean, I'll take it. He probably wasn't the best captain of the game week. Obviously, Haaland with his 2 goals, but the thing is with Salah, I just think he and Haaland will level out across the season. We'll talk about my transfer plans as to what I might do with the 2 of them. But at the end of the day, my captain returned, so I'm happy. Bruno, no DEFCONs, no attacking returns against Arsenal, but Man United were really good in that game. I thought they should have won it, to be honest. It was almost a bit of a robbery from Arsenal to score from that set piece and then not really look threatening at all for the rest of the game. I tell you, Cunha and Mbeumo, if you didn't watch the game, they were absolutely awesome in that game. And I think there's going to be plenty of assists to come for Bruno Fernandes this season. We talked about Reinders already. We were saying that he was a bit of a minutes risk, which I think is any Man City player, right, is going to be a minutes risk. But I think with how well he played during pre-season and how well he played against Wolves, it's going to be a miracle. Well, a bad miracle. I don't know what you call that. If he didn't play in the next game, he was fantastic. He looked like he'd been at Man City and playing in the Premier League for 4 or 5 years. The guy just had everything to his game: pace, bit of power, you know, technical ability to beat a man, passing range. He was fantastic in that game. Watkins and João Pedro up front, both blanking. We'll talk a little bit about them because Watkins, I think I'm going to keep in my team, but I am a little bit concerned about João Pedro. It's probably not the worst case scenario because he didn't play terribly, But at the same time, you know, I was expecting a little bit more from him. Dubravka, yeah, he started, I guess, for Burnley, so that's the takeaway from that. Mark Gu didn't play at all. A little bit worried about him. We'll talk about him in a second. Didn't get any minutes at all. So I don't think bench boosting Game Week 2 is on the cards. Richards kept a clean sheet against Chelsea. Palace were really solid in that game. It's just a case of, do they keep Gahey? I think Gahey's massive to their defence, as of course Eze is just massive to their team, who could be leaving as well. And Esteva Burnley was just on my bench for a one-pointer. So yeah, like we said, 54 points, 3.9 million overall. I just wanted to quickly say all of the information about players, stats, expected points, AI rating, all comes from Fantasy Football Hub. You can get your team rated by their AI for free using the link in the description below. And if you like what you see on their product, I'll get you 50% off your sign-up fee. And if you don't win your mini league this season, Fantasy Football Hub will give you your money back. So there's a link at the top of the description to sign up. And the second link is free AI rating, so you can put your team in and get it AI rated. Okay, so here's how my team's looking then for Game Week 2. And the first thing I've got, rather than making any transfers, is just deciding who I want to start. So I've got Sanchez in goal at the moment against West Ham away, but I also have Dubravka, who has Sunderland. Now, had Sunderland not beaten West Ham, then I think I might consider starting Dubravka. But Sunderland looked really good against West Ham. Burnley did not look, you know, the solid Burnley that I remember in the Championship against Spurs. You know, Sunderland scored 3 goals, Burnley conceded 3 goals. So I'm probably going to stick with Sanchez in goal. I wasn't impressed at all with West Ham, I got to say. I thought they were really poor. The only threat, only player, you know, resembling a threat was Jarrod Bowen for them. So I'll stick with Sanchez in goal. Defence is a tricky one. So it's whether I play Joachim Andersen. Now, he's got, according to Fantasy Football Hub, he's got Man United at home and he's got 4.2 predicted points. But having seen how good Man United were against Arsenal, I'd be a little bit concerned that they maybe score 2 or 3 goals against Fulham. Now, I'm not saying, you know, Fulham are a poor defence or anything, but I'd just be surprised if Man United didn't net a couple in that game. Which, even if Anderson got the DEFCON points, would kind of negate them. Richards against Nottingham Forest. They were really solid against Chelsea. It's their first home game of the season. Forest, I know they scored a couple of goals. But, they scored 3 goals, didn't they? I'm just going to stick by Richards, I think. I think it's the right call to start him. I was going to do that anyway. I've got Neco Williams playing Crystal Palace as well, so it's a little bit interesting having 2 players defending each other, or playing each other, so I guess I'm hoping for a 0-0 in that one. But again, I thought Forest looked pretty solid defensively in their game. It was just a penalty that they conceded. And then I guess it's whether I start Pedro Porro. Now, he's got Man City away, which is a disgusting fixture. But as a player, I think he's got, you know, potential to maybe get DEFCON, potential to maybe get some attacking returns. I don't think he keeps a clean sheet necessarily. But I also don't think Anderson keeps a clean sheet either. I don't think Esteve keeps a clean sheet. So right now, anyway, that's the back 4 I've decided. If you've got any thoughts in the comments, by the way, on who I should play instead of these 3, please let me know. Or these 4. Salah's going to be my captain. I've got no other better captain. The one thing I'm a little bit worried about, and we'll talk about that now, is captaincy. So I knew this going into Game Week 1, right? So I picked my team with this in mind. But I don't necessarily think Salah is... Like, if I could pick any player in the game to be my captain, I think Game Week 2 is one of the few times this season where you could pick someone that isn't Salah. Saka's got, obviously, Leeds at home, although Arsenal did not look too clever from an attacking point of view against Man United. And Haaland has got Tottenham. Now, if I had Haaland, I would probably consider captaining him ahead of Salah, particularly if I spent the money on Haaland. If there was a game where he had a better fixture than Salah did and I didn't captain him, you'd almost suggest it's a waste of money in my mind. But I don't think I have a better player than Salah, so he's my captain. Like I said, Cole Palmer he's walking a bit of a tightrope in my team at the moment. The expectations for him were fairly high against Palace. I would have accepted a blank from him, to be honest, but as long as he was involved in the game and played well, but the guy he disappeared. So I'm a little bit concerned, although they do have West Ham, and like I said with when I talked about Sanchez, they were really poor against Sunderland, so should be okay in that one. Bruno Fernandes against Fulham. I'm just hoping for some DEFCONs or attacking returns. You can just have him in your team every week, can't you? He took the free... It was both... They had a free kick on the edge of the box, like a goal-scoring position free kick. Both Mbeumo and Bruno Fernandes stood over it against Arsenal, and Bruno Fernandes took it. I'd hope that he's going to be the taker going forwards, but it wouldn't surprise me to see Mbeumo take a couple of free kicks. I'm not getting rid of Reinders. No way am I getting rid of Reinders. 5.6 million, he's obviously gone up in price, so we've got a little bit of profit on him already. Although that's not actually profit. because I only get 0.1 if he goes up to 0.7, but you know what I mean. Tottenham for him, happy with that. Rodgers against Brentford. They conceded 3 goals against Nottingham Forest, who hadn't scored 1 goal during the whole of pre-season. Yeah, they didn't look too clever, did Brentford, but, you know, I backed Brentford to do okay this season, but I'll just moving the screen around there. I also backed Rodgers to do okay against Brentford, so happy with that. Same with Watkins. You know, he blanked in Game Week 1. I'm still confident he can do something in Game Week 2 against Brentford. And then João Pedro. I'm always kind of regretting going for him, to be honest. I don't know why I did it. I'm looking at... I'm also looking at Semenyo. I was going to say it was a replacement for João Pedro. I'm looking at Semenyo too. I think of all of the midfielders in the game that aren't Cole Palmer, he's the one that impressed me the most in Game Week 2. And I think if I drop someone like Cole Palmer to Semenyo, it opens the door for me to potentially look to upgrade maybe Watkins to Haaland later on. And I'm looking at my team and I'm thinking the one thing that could potentially be missing from it is obviously Haaland and the Haaland-Salah captaincy rotation. And I think what's happening at the moment in the game is we're seeing some cheaper players emerge that could allow you to own both Salah and Haaland. And I think there are weeks where one is going to be the better captain than the other. Like Game Week 2 and, to be honest, Game Week 3 are examples of that when Salah plays Arsenal at home. Another player I was looking at, though, to potentially replace João Pedro, although it does look like his price is about to go up, which is a bit of a headache, is Chris Wood. I didn't write Chris Wood off. I did have him in my team on a couple of occasions. I don't know if I made a video with him in my team, but he looked good, didn't he? 2 goals against Brentford. Everyone was kind of ruling him out and Forest out because they barely scored a goal in pre-season, but obviously looked good against Brentford, scored a couple of goals off the back of a 20-goal Premier League season last year. I still think he's kind of, you know, if he scores 20 goals in a Premier League season, how could he be 7.5 million in FPL? You know, it just seems a bit mad to me. And I'm saying all this and I've picked João Pedro, but then I thought João Pedro was underpriced as well with the potential that he had. You know, the performances he put in at the Club World Cup in pre-season. Yeah, he scored 2 goals in his opening game. He's got Crystal Palace, West Ham next to, and then Arsenal away. So, Crystal Palace is probably going to be a tough fixture for Forest, to be fair. They kept a clean sheet against Chelsea, looked really solid. West Ham is a good fixture. And then they've got Arsenal. But I think, if I remember rightly with Chris Wood, he scored against quite a lot of top teams last season as well. And you'd imagine he probably keeps penalties too. Oh, he's caused me a bit of a headache as Chris Wood. So I'm definitely, I'm staring at João Pedro, who played not 90 minutes last week, blanked, and I already think is on like a tightrope with Enzo Maresca. You know, Liam Delap is absolutely biting at his heels to get a place in the team. So, yeah, if we get another maybe couple of blanks from João Pedro and limited minutes, could be looking to potentially change him to Chris Wood. But, you know, we're Game Week 2. I don't think I need to make any changes to this team. So I've got 1 free transfer. As we all know, you know, it's Game Week 2. I'm not going to make that transfer. I think I'm just going to stick with the team I've got. 61.1 expected points this team's got, courtesy of Fantasy Football Hub. You know, I could increase that by bringing in both Anderson and a Steve, and even Dubravka by the looks of it. But I just have more confidence in the players that I've got in there at the moment. It could be a case of bringing Anderson in, though. We'll see. A 97% AI rating. So I'm pretty happy with that. And like I said, all the expected points data and AI rating available on Fantasy Football Hub. Link in the description below. All right, well, that's the end of the video. I hope you enjoyed that and found it useful. These transfer plans videos are genuinely amongst my favourite ones that I do because I feel like I'm just chatting to some friends in the pub about what I'm going to do with my FPL team. I deliberately don't write a script about it. Obviously, I make some graphics about players that I'm considering buying. But I deliberately don't script it because I want these thoughts, you know, I want this video to be kind of my live, unfiltered thoughts on my team. So hopefully you found it useful and appreciated those live, unfiltered thoughts. If you did, please leave me a like rating and let me know in the comments what you think I should do with my team. I'll be honest though, I don't think I need to make a transfer. It's just a case of my bench order and who I should start. I think that's really the decision that I've got to make. And yeah, if you enjoyed what you saw and want to see more from me, you can subscribe to the Goal to Goal channel, which should just be here on your screen. And yeah, thank you very much for watching. I'll catch you in my next video.